Well, I've had enough time to wait on the cloth, so now it's time to put our gloves on, get our epoxy out, my standard System 3 silver tip, laminating resin. Got my paint roller and a bunch of these little guys. I'm going to change the rollers probably before, when I was doing the blue tape and I just had the bottom footprint. I was usually able to get away with just one roller, but this is going to be time consuming, and I've had problems before where I laid a roller down, came back a little bit later, and everything gets kind of sticky or stickified, and I went to roll it across the glass, you know, the wetted out cloth, and it lifted it up. So change these often. And I got a toothbrush for finishing along the edges, and then I got a little acid brush to start with, because when I get around to this will be later, but I want to start off with some epoxy along the bow seam to get that wetted down and held in place. And then get your graduated cups. I've got two little marks here for a little bit, and then two marks for a lot, which we're going to do a lot of here initially. And then I've got my spreading tool, and it's a fairly new one, but I've already rounded the edges over. Make sure you do that. You don't want anything to catch on the glass cloth now that we got it finished, finalized. And then use some sandpaper to make certain that everything is smooth, that there's no little particles left over from the last time you used it on epoxy or wood fillet or any of that kind of stuff, so that it's clean. Nothing's going to catch on the cloth, because we want to be able to put a little bit of pressure on the blade. And this is the flex one. They make them stiff and flex. This is a flexing one. You want to put we're going to be putting a little bit of pressure on this to spread the epoxy out so we don't get big globs and runs. So let me go ahead and mix up some epoxy, and we'll come back and we'll start working on the nose. I'm debating how I'm going to do this. Like I originally said, I was going to start about and work aft, but I think I'm going to do a little bit of the nose, do all the bottom to get it set in place, and then come back and work straight down the sides, and then do that way. I don't want to try to start in the front and push and all of a sudden get a bulge that I got to work to the back. I don't want to do that. So let me come back after we get it mixed up and we'll start the process. Okay, I'm going to start. I made just a little batch here to start with, so I don't get too carried away, because I've said before, you don't want this stuff to get stiff on you. You can see there's a little bubble that was forming there, so I'm going to work the bow out. Get over here. Get some on both sides so you don't pull, because it gets sticky. There's lifting here on the other side. Do the other side too, so you don't have unequal pressure. I'm globbing on more than what I need right now. I should be saying something, I guess, huh? Just keep an eye on the material, that you're not creating any bunches. Okay, now we'll take our tool, thin this stuff out. I'll come back later with a toothbrush and fill in the other edges. Be really gentle as you pull the knife along, just a light pressure. You'll see the little wave that forms in front of the tool as the and don't get too worried about any one spot, as long as it's, you know, mostly plastered down. A lot of wicking action will take place. Finish out the stroke. I don't know if you can see me or not on this side. When you get to the bottom, on the bottom of the gunnel there, give it a little bit of a push into the edge. And just gently pull it along. Don't be trying to push fabric like I was just had a little bit right there. It's going to be interesting doing this full hull. Just push down into the crack. Okay, let me mix up some more. I'm going to go work on the top now, and then we'll I'm going to finish out the top all the way, and then we'll come back on the sides to show you how I dribble along the edge and move the epoxy down. Okay, got a big gob here. And let the excess drain out. Now that I got it spread out, I can take the thick spot outwards. Just take your time. Now I'm skimming. A little bit of downward pressure. Pull that excess epoxy out. It's way more than enough to wet the glass to the wood. I'm kind of doing this straight arm so I can look underneath and see how much epoxy I'm pulling along. You can see where it's thick, but it's shine. Once you get it down to where it's just enough covering the glass, you can see the thread pattern coming through. Okay. Now we'll bring out our roller. Take the thick to the thin. There's a long time between, get back up here. A long time between when you bring the roller out, do a test spot see that you're not going to, it hasn't become tacky and you're going to lift your newly wetted out cloth. You're also kind of ironing out any little runs that want to pop up. Okay, let's make another batch. This is handy if you got a friend in order to help you to be mixing up some epoxy, and then he can be pouring as you're scraping along. So, but it's one of those things you don't want to veer the celebration after you get done wetting out the hull.